According to the U.S. News and World Report's annual high school athletics participation report, 55% of all high school students, almost 7.6 million kids, participate in at least one high school sport. Is this just another example of our sports-crazed culture? Or are there real, lifelong benefits to participation in co-curricular activities? In Worthington, Ohio, we desire that every one of our students be connected to a co-curricular activity. Longitudinal studies have shown that children and youth who participate in sport, when compared to their like peers who do not participate in sport, exhibit higher grades, greater personal confidence and self-esteem, greater connections with school, and even stronger peer relationships. In addition to these formal studies, I believe that co-curricular participation is important because students need to learn to work hard. They need to get knocked down and learn to get back up again. They need to build a resolve to never, never, never give in. So the day was February 19th, 1990. It was just 9 days since Columbus, Ohio's own James Buster Douglas had shocked the world by knocking out the previously undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson. It was only 9 days, but it felt like an eternity. On this February day, there was an inch or two of white snow that covered the ground in Worthington. It was the first day of the spring lacrosse season for the 1990 Worthington Cardinals. The spring sports season in Ohio often begins with temperatures well below freezing, and this day was no different. See, I was there that day, and I was dressed in my black cotton Worthington lacrosse sweatpants that dragged in the snow. The team that was returning was the two-time defending Ohio lacrosse state champions. And with that, there were high expectations for this season. Nothing less than winning a Midwest championship would be tolerated. Preseason conditioning was set to be a brutal exercise. The team gathered, and they wore their full lacrosse gear, the old boxy lacrosse helmets, shoulder pads, gloves, a stick, some sort of cleats. Everybody wore the same black cotton sweatpants. But the guys wore a myriad of other long-sleeve shirts and sweatshirts on their upper body to stay warm. Everything that was worn was cotton, and everything was boxy. There was no Under Armour, no Nike combat gear back in 1990. Once we were wet, we would stay wet. And so if you didn't want hypothermia, you better start moving. The task for February 19th and each day of that first week was to begin at the field house, run down the hill, across the grass that in Worthington, Ohio we call the flats, and on to the Olentangy bike path. The team would then run south on the asphalt path before reaching Antrim Lake. Each player would be required to do 50 push-ups, run around the 1.2-mile lake, do 50 more push-ups, and then run back down the path, across the grass, and up the hill to the finish. The run would happen in full lacrosse gear and on snow-covered ground. It was about a 3.5-mile run. Now, this morning before this event, I ran farther than 3.5 miles, and I do this almost every day as an adult. But in 1990, I had not run one step since the November end of football season. And in football, sprints are never more than 50 yards. So 3.5 miles was a virtual marathon to me at 17 years old. To make matters worse, there's always somebody on every team who actually prepares for what they knew was coming. On this team, that was Scott Siebel. Scott had run every day during the winter of 1989-1990, and he was ready to set a fast pace. When the run began, Scott took off like a rabbit. I struggled to keep up with the likes of Keith Poss, Rafe Webster, and John Mackey. It was really hard for me. The air was cold on my lungs. I didn't have any rhythm to my breathing, and running in my black Nike high-top cleats was like running in combat boots. When we reached the lake, assistant lacrosse coach Tim Cave was waiting for us. Tim barked at us to begin doing push-ups. When he didn't think we were doing our push-ups with our proper form, now mind you, we're wearing full lacrosse gear, he got down on the ground and he demonstrated that proper form. Eventually we were running again, and then we were doing push-ups again, and then we were running. The last half mile of this run would begin at the ice-covered Olentangy River. And from there, it's uphill all the way to the field house. I thought I was going to die. I mean, really, I wasn't sure I could crawl up the hill, let alone run up the hill. And that's when it began. Sitting on the open tailgate of his black Ford Bronco was head lacrosse coach Chris Gallagher, CG, as he's known to everyone in Worthington. CG was wearing shorts, dirty brown work boots, and a well-worn hooded sweatshirt. He was sitting on his open tailgate like it was a late summer afternoon. If CG didn't acknowledge it was cold out, it wasn't really cold out. As I got close to CG, I heard his deep, bellowing voice. From somewhere behind his rough brown beard, I heard one word: finish. Then the old Ford Bronco began to move up the hill. He stayed about 25 yards in front of me as I slugged forward. And I heard his bellowing voice again. Bowers, don't you dare quit. Don't you dare walk. Finish. Finish. I had to finish. I had to. I had to, and so I did. That day was February 19th, 1990. The scene repeated itself again on February 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. I think on the 24th we were actually allowed to practice lacrosse. I finished each run that week, but each run hurt. Each run hurt a lot. And each day I heard that same bellowing voice. Finish. On February 19th, 1990, a lesson was cemented into my head that I've never forgotten. When I went off to college to play college football, I didn't yet understand the level of work and effort that would be required. During those early two-a-day practices in August, several of my teammates quit and left the team. I wanted to quit too, but I couldn't. CG's voice was still stuck in my head. Bowers, don't you dare quit. Fast forward a few more years, and I'm a first-year teacher. I'm teaching 26 fifth-grade students at Potomac Elementary School in Dahlgren, Virginia. I'm totally overwhelmed. I'm at school each day from 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. But here's the thing. The kids were winning this battle. I was not sure I had what it took to be a public school teacher. I thought, maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll go into law enforcement. Maybe I'll do anything but this job. Some statistics show that 50% of all new teachers quit within the first 5 years. But I couldn't be one of them. What would I have told CG? Fast forward a few more years, and I'm working on my doctorate in education at Ashland University. All I need to do is finish my dissertation, and I will have earned my degree. Many of you know that a dissertation is a research study, and it's judged by a committee of professors. I would turn in a draft of my work, and I would receive feedback from each of my 3 professors. One of them liked my work. Another one didn't like it at all and wanted me to start over. Another one wanted me to go back 2 chapters before. I would go through this process month after month. It'd been 2 years, and I was beginning to lose hope. I'm 35 years old. I had 3 little kids at home, and I'm working a full-time job as a school principal. I'm thinking, I need to quit. But I couldn't. I would drive from Columbus to Ashland after work, and I would drive home late at night on I-71. On those late night drives on I-71, it's like I could hear CG's voice in my head. Bowers, finish. It's like I could see him sitting on the back of that old Ford Bronco as it went up the hill. It's like he was there with me. I had to finish. I had to. I had to, and so I did. In life, there's many times when quitting would be easier. Winston Churchill famously said, never give in, never give in, never, 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 never. Certainly there's times where it might make sense to cut your losses and move on. But in my life, had I quit when I wanted to, I'm convinced that things would have turned out very differently. You know, the thing is, I think at some part along the line I would have quit. You know, I don't know if that's true, but on February 19th, 1990, I learned a lesson that I've never forgotten. I learned it from a man who pushed me to work harder than I ever thought was possible, but who cared about me as much as anyone I've ever known. As a high school athlete, I learned to never quit. And that's why kids today need co-curricular activities. See, we're soft in America today. Right? You know it's true. Our kids are spoiled. My own kids are spoiled. They spend their time primarily in climate-controlled air. They wear soft, moisture-wicking fabrics, right? And their education is personalized to their interests at their pace. You know, for many in this generation, perseverance is defined by finding the fastest video game hack. But throughout every person's life, there comes times where we have to make decisions. We're going to come to forks in the road. And the question is, what have we taught our kids that will guide that choice? What have we taught our kids about working hard? What have we taught them about setting a goal and doing whatever it takes to make that goal happen? Life is never as easy as we think it's going to be. We must prepare our students for that reality. We must prepare our students to overcome adversity with perseverance. In our current educational system, I believe that co-curricular participation is the best way to teach these critical life skills. And with that in mind, we must involve our students in these opportunities. We must support these opportunities, and we must view them as the key learning opportunities that they are. Finish. Don't you dare quit. I learned that lesson as a high school athlete. And my hope is that there are 7.6 million other kids learning that exact same thing today. Thanks, Coach.